All right, Malcontents. It's Jennifer and I's favorite part of the show. It's the Insurrection update. If you haven't voted in our poll on which story you want us in Malcontented Minutes to go deeper, mods and admins will drop the link again. Please go ahead and go over there and vote and let us know. Mods and admins, right before we get to the arrest segment, we will go ahead and ask you to tell us what's going on. And Malcontent, that's all Insurrection update.
Yeah. There's a lot of stupid people in the world.
Holy shit!
If you're hearing that noise, Yoda, even though he is blind, has figured out that if he tweaks the door stopper over and over again, it goes brrr and it gets my attention. I may have to hit the technical difficulties button for a minute to go get Yoda, who is now demanding out of the so-called green room.
That's so cute.
Jennifer, you went last, so I'm going to go first.
All right.
Let's go ahead. This is a good time also to remind you, spam those hearts, and let the mods and admins know you appreciate the great work that they're doing. We're going to start with Rep. Marjorie Greene, who's had one hell of a week. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell blasted Marjorie Taylor Greene on Monday night. So this was after we had finished our show on Monday, as House Republicans considered censuring her. McConnell, appearing to try and defend the crumbling remains of the old school GOP, stated her embrace of loony lies and conspiracies is a cancer for the Republican Party. I can't do that in the Mitch McConnell turtle voice with a straight face.
The word loony, that cracks me up. Loony. Makes it sound almost like it's entertaining, like Looney Tunes. It's not entertaining. It's about shit crazy and dangerous. All right. Moving on. Senator Mittens Romney, who occasionally grows a microspine, also went after MTG on Tuesday, saying, quote, I think we should have nothing to do with Marjorie Taylor Greene and think we should repudiate the things she said and move away from her. Our Big Ten is not large enough to both accommodate conservatives and kooks, end quote. The other 96% of seated Republican senators had nothing more to add.
It's just so gross. And the thing about Mittens, he only half means it, right? He probably is going to vote to acquit Trump. I would bet money on that. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy tried to play both sides on this ongoing Marjorie Taylor Greene train wreck of the week, entertaining stripping Liz Cheney of her committee seats, the third highest ranking Republican in the House, and considering the same for MTG. Jennifer, do you remember a time when the name Cheney was associated with the most evil Republicans in the Republican Party? When on earth did the Cheneys become sane?
Apparently during the Trump era.
The word is McCarthy criticized MTG and said that she has to hold herself to a, I quote, unquote, higher standard. In the end, both Cheney and Greene kept their committee seats, but only one of them was still on committees after Friday.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't Greene. Yeah, and Greene was interesting too because she just basically gave the I'm sorry you feel that way of apologies about her behavior. Moving on, freshman Senator Tommy Tuberville, this name sounds like a weird cartoon character, of Alabama, who has raised many eyebrows as his name continues to come up in the planning of the insurrection, raised more eyebrows when he had no comment about MTG when asked. The no comment in itself didn't raise his eyebrows in his right. It was his reason, which he blamed on bad weather and not keeping up on current headlines. Way to go, Alabama, on replacing a qualified individual with someone who doesn't even know the three branches of government or how to use the Google.
He's never heard of weather.com, apparently, Jennifer, either.
The Google.
The weather? This guy was a football coach. I mean, I get he's a football coach in Alabama, but he was a football coach. He didn't look at the weather forecast before a game. Oh, there's going to be rains and thunderstorms this game here. We're going to have to pull out the old 23 skidoo play on this one.
I'm sorry, I can't comment on her because of the weather. Wow. Okay.
We have so much MTG. She sucked so much oxygen out of the room last week. It's ridiculous. Like this just keeps peeling the onion. Cue the false moral equivalency. Representative Nancy Mace of South Carolina, who in her first couple of weeks in Congress looked like she was sane and rational, went on the defensive to protect MGG, saying there are crazies on both sides. And when she was talking about crazies on both sides on Tuesday, she then doubled down on that statement and called out AOC's accounts of events during the insurrection, stating they were fabrications, stating how her office is in the same part of the Capitol complex on the same hallway as AOC's, and that her account of being fearful is just all BS. But Jennifer, there's one problem. She posted on Twitter and in a news article about barricading herself in her office and sleeping in the Capitol overnight. We go ahead. I pulled up Florida Man by accident. There we go. We'll pull this up here.
That'll haunt me.
That is not a picture of Nancy Mace.
Stop.
Nor somebody associated with Nancy Mace. But I got to pull up Florida Man again.
God.
So here's the tweet. As a matter of fact, if you look at Rep. Mace's Twitter for the week of the insurrection, it is littered with first-person accounts of her being in total fear, feeling helpless, and condemning the actions of the insurrectionists. She also called out then-President Trump for his delay in moving flags to half-mast for Officer Sicknick. She even went on MSNBC to give her account of fear of what happened. So somebody has clearly gotten, like, it's like the member berries of South Park, like, blah!
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a whole theory about this, but I'll save it. And even more false moral equivalency, GOP House leaders put out a measure to strip MTG of her committee seats with a poison pill attached. The Democratic majority would also have to strip Ilhan Omar of her seats. Omar has stirred some controversy in her freshman year as congressperson over some content she has made, but these were taken out of context and were reported on that years ago, and these have to refer to her support of Palestine and Palestinian people and the ways in which they are treated by Israel.
Yeah, there's a particular statement that she had made when she was a freshman congresswoman in her very early months. And it was this classic, we're just going to play the little bit of the clip and then we're going to run with it. And they didn't play the before and they didn't play the after. When you played it in full context, you were like, and I say this as someone who's a Jewish faith, right? It was like, it's a little icky, but it's nowhere near as icky as you're portraying it. And it's not anti-Semitic. And my anti-Semitic radar is on. I don't care who you are, left, right, in between. If you're anti-Semitic, you're going down. I'm going to call you out. And the mods and admins know that. Like, that is one of like the standing rules. If there's anything even smells anti-Semitic, banhammer. There is no vacations or warnings. So, Jennifer, I got to hit technical difficulties for a minute because he's upping the ante.
Go get Yoda. Oh.
He looks very smug. I won.
So very happy though. He's adorable.
He looks very happy. I won. I'm on TV. See if I bring you on the show again.
Oh.
That's right. Sneeze all over the control panel again. All right, Jennifer, it's your turn. I get to do this one-handed now.
Oh, okay. With MTG sucking all of the air out of the room and keeping a fair amount of attention off of former President Trump and his looming impeachment trial, the motion to remove both of them didn't pass. So House Democrats and 11 Republicans voted to remove MTG on Friday from her committee assignments, including one in education, where she could teach the youth about the Jewish space lasers or some shit. And the MTG temper tantrum was about as epic as you would expect. equally as epic as her "I'm sorry you feel that way, no accountability" apology that she gave prior to her removal.
It's my Jewish space laser.
Mm-hmm.
Pew pew. And in a final insult to democracy, it is widely reported that after Republicans voted on Wednesday not to strip MTG of her committee seats, she got a standing ovation.
I'm sorry. That is so gross. In what world does this woman who peddles in gross conspiracy theories have a seat at the table in the context of education in any capacity? I mean, it's astounding to me. And
I'm an American. You're.
Yeah, it is. All right, Jennifer, you can bring us on to it. That's all it for MTG. So Liz Cheney kept her seat. MTG didn't keep her seat on the Education Committee to talk about Jewish space lasers, flat Earth, and how school shootings are false flags. And she still has yet to identify any blood-drinking Dems. And I don't understand why her Q supporters aren't holding her feet to the fire on that promise. She told us to go find us some blood drinkers, damn it.
Yeah.
Hallelujah! Holy shit!
Okay. On to me. We're in impeachment. So on Monday night, Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina threatened to call in the FBI as a witness during the impeachment trial if Democrats call witnesses. So don't call any witnesses at a trial, or Lindsey Graham going to call in the FBI. Graham stated, quote, "If you open up that can of worms, we'll want the FBI to come in and tell us about how people actually pre-planned these attacks and what happened with the security footprint at the Capitol," end quotes. Going on to say this would provide a sufficient defense for Trump that the insurrection happened outside of his actions. Please, Lindsey, please actually keep one of your promises. Bring in the FBI.
I really wish we can't play this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. We had this clip before. We figured out that was the clip getting us knocked off the air. Then we would have to file, and then they would be like, "Oh, we're sorry, you actually can use that clip," and so I don't play it anymore. But the button wouldn't be so perfect for this story. It is interesting to me that Lindsey Graham has said nothing after he said this stupidity. I have a feeling that Trump's lawyers were probably like, "Dude, stop helping."
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, House Democrats asked Trump to testify in his impeachment hearing, and the former president said he would not, calling the hearing itself unconstitutional. Jennifer, this is a departure from his previous views on people who plead the Fifth Amendment or refuse to testify, where he has said that people that do that only do that because they're guilty.
Yeah, he's so dumb it ought to be painful, actually. I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay, so the impeachment hearing, round 2, is supposed to start on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Seattle time and continue to 4 p.m. They will run daily for 6 days a week and is believed will be shorter than Trump's first impeachment hearing. We'll be covering it in all of its glory. Please, God, I'm not even religious, but let Trump testify, and following C-SPAN coverage.
That's my view, too. It's like, please testify. We'll have fodder for months if you testify. Our ratings will be amazing if you testify.
I would buy it.
I don't care about clout and ratings, but holy crap, there'll be so much to talk about if he testifies.
Yes.
And we're going to, starting on Tuesday, we're covering the impeachment hearings in all their glory. And I can tell you right now, there's going to be moments where you're just going to be like biting your nails into the edge of your seat. And there's probably going to be other moments where all going to be.
Yep.
I want to go ahead and address the people on the Senate floor for my 5 minutes.
Yes.
I'm going to get to the impeachment in a minute, but the first thing I want to talk about is Jewish space lasers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On Tuesday, pillow pusher, who wrote this? On Tuesday, pillow pusher Mike Lindell went off script or more likely stayed on his planned script while he continued to push his debunk stolen election theories during a NewsMax interview about cancel culture. If you're not familiar with NewsMax, they are more right of Fox News. They are less right of One American Network. And NewsMax has been around like as a website. They actually have been around like 25 years or something. And we started a news channel a few years ago. The interview went so off the rails that a NewsMax anchor actually walked off the set. And guess what? We have the clip.
So what happened? What happened with your Twitter account and the company page?
Well, first mine was taken down because we have all the election fraud with these Dominion machines. We have 100% proof. And then when they took it down about 3 weeks ago, and then when I put it back up, my personal, it was a
Mike, thank you very much. Mike, you're talking about machines that we at NewsMax have not been able to verify any of those kinds of allegations. We just want to let people know that there's nothing substantive that we've seen. And let me read you something there. While there were some clear evidence of some cases of vote fraud and election irregularities, the election results in every state were certified, and NewsMax accepts the results as legal and final. The courts have also supported that view. So we wanted to talk to you about canceling culture, if you will. We don't want to relitigate the allegations that you're making, Mike, because we understand where you are. So let me ask you this. Do you think that this should be temporary because it appears to be permanent? Could you make an argument that it is temporary?
What?
Could you make an argument that this could be a temporary banning rather than permanent?
No, I want it to be a permanent because you know what? They did this because I'm revealing all the evidence on Friday of all the election fraud with these machines. So I'm sorry if you think it's not
Mike,
it's real.
Can I ask our producers, can we get out of here, please? I don't want to have to keep going over this.
Actually,
we at NewsMax have not been able to verify any of those allegations that you're
Mike, hold on a second. Everybody hold on a second. Mike, hold on 1 second. Let's talk a little bit about just what is happening overall in terms of censorship of...
Trying to cancel out my company and myself. In this country, it's cancel culture.
Give me a minute here, Malcontent. Like it.
Well,
It's one hell of a drug, Jennifer.
Yeah, but we do know the answer now to how batshit crazy you have to be to run off a NewsMax anchor. There you go.
But the name of that anchor was Bob Sellers, and now you know where the line. Yeah, exactly. We know where the line is. All right. Yeah. It's like this. It just speaks for itself, right?
God. All right. Do you smell something cheap and polyesters burning? That might be some Blue Lives Matter flags. Investigators have decided not to charge the Capitol police officer who shot and killed Ashli Babbitt during the Capitol insurrection on January 6, 2021. Babbitt, with a group of others, many of who are now arrested, surprise, surprise, started to breach the doors that led into the House chamber where congressional leaders were still in. And as Babbitt jumped through the broken door, despite multiple warnings from insurrectionists that there were guns and from officers on the other side, she pushed through. She was shot in the neck and fell backwards into the hall, mortally wounded. The before, during, and after were captured by multiple camera angles on both sides of the door in a video compiled by the Washington Post and widely distributed.
Of course, we saw tons of the videos there, right, where they were very upset that the police were doing police things, and a lot of people left the Capitol going, oh, wait a minute, the police actually don't work for us, they just work for the state. Mm-hmm. Welcome to the dark side, ladies and gentlemen, and theys. Oh, wait a minute, Chuds don't believe in theys.
It's a cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller.
Welcome to the dark side, ladies and gents. Freaking some of the stuff they were saying too, right? Like, we're going to be like Antifa now and get you defunded.
Yeah, okay.
Lin Wood continues to be in the news for all the wrong reasons. The state of Georgia has announced that the firebrand election fraud conspiracy theory pusher and lawyer is under investigation for. Jennifer, are you ready? He's under investigation for election fraud. In December, Lin Wood, in correspondence with the WSB Atlanta TV reporter Justin Gray, indicated he had purchased a residence in South Carolina in April and had changed his legal residence to that state. That would mean if he voted in Georgia's election in November, he was violating the very laws he's accusing others with no evidence of violation in the case of the others. When Lin Wood was asked about the investigation and if he voted not just in November, but also in the January Senate runoff races in Georgia, he had no comment, but he did say he didn't change his legal residence until February 1st. How convenient.
Well, there's that election fraud they've been looking for. Yeah.
Hallelujah!
Oh, boy.
Holy shit!
Oh, this one's good. All right.
It's almost a page. There's so much to unpack.
Because she's crazy. Supreme Court Justice's wife, Virginia Ginny Thomas, apologized to Justice Thomas's law clerks for her comments leading up to and after the insurrection. It was reported that Ginny Thomas is under FBI investigation, go figure, she's nuts, and was one of the first people interviewed by agents in the days after the insurrection. Thomas wrote multiple posts on Facebook in support of the events on January 6th. She then wrote a single comment on one post stated they were written before the insurrection, then removed the posts. In an email exchange reported by the Washington Post, former Thomas law clerk John Eastman, who spoke at the January 6, 2021 insurrection and is now the former dean of Chapman's University's law school, wrote, quote, "Rest assured that those of us involved in this are working diligently to ascertain the truth," end quote. In the same exchange, which Ginny Thomas initiated, former clerk Stephen F. Smith wrote back, quote, "If by truth you mean what actually happened as opposed to a false narrative, then I agree. I hope that you and everyone on this list agree that the search for truth doesn't in any way justify insurrection, trying to kidnap and assassinate elected officials, attacking police officers, or making common cause with racists and anti-Semites bent on wanton violence and lawlessness," end quote. The exchange shines a light in a concerning set of communications at highest levels of the judicial why is that a hard word to say? Judicial branch of the government.
It sure does. Ginny's ties to far-right organizations, and I stress far-right, not domestic terrorist organizations, but far-right organizations are well-documented and run very, very deep. And I seem to recall, if I get it wrong, Malcontents, go ahead and roast me in the comments, Turning Point USA, that she has previously been very heavily involved with Turning Point USA, but backed away from that, I believe, in 2019.
Yep.
Okay, Parler CEO, or we can say now former CEO, was fired by the board of directors with no notice and no severance. John Matze said he was given no reason for the firing and went on a few days later to accuse the board of trying to silence and censor him. Matze claims he urged the board for stronger moderation and they pushed back, which is completely contrary, Jennifer, to what he was saying prior. Matze also claimed this site would be up and running again by the end of January. It'll be a week and a few hours past January. His site's not up and running, and the board's making it sound like it's not going to be up and running anytime soon. I'm sure John will find another job in the Trump organization or something like that. But John, a little advice, get your paychecks up front, buddy. Get them up front.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, the first Black Secretary of Defense in the United States history, has ordered a full military stand down over the next 60 days to tackle white nationalism and anti-government extremism in the ranks. Unlike the nation's 17,000 police forces that have autonomy, the military command and control structure makes it easier to identify problems and move order through the ranks. No details of what the stand down will look like or how issues will be addressed have been made, but at least they're freaking doing something.
Nathan, thank you so much for commenting on our high production value. We really appreciate it. We're actually broadcasting on 5 channels, and sometimes on a channel there's 5 people watching, and there's literally 1,000 people watching on another channel. But we do appreciate the comment on the production value. And on the subject of production value, when Seattle police want to make national news, they go all in. In a move that makes Joey Wiesner look like a member of the deep state, a 6th Seattle police officer is under investigation for potential involvement in the insurrection. The latest officer under investigation came forward on their own, but there is no information on what prompted them to come forward on their own at such a late date. They're under OPA investigation. Joey, in a live stream made just a couple of days after the insurrection, or maybe even like on the, I can't quite remember like when it was, but it was just a couple of days after, misspoke and said that 6 were under investigation when there was 2. He actually wrote an apology that night because Joey follows the same ethos and standards that we do of like truth and accuracy is really important to the world. And, you know, Joey, we don't know. Looks like you had the inside track on the story, and we totally love you for it, man.
Wow. 6. That's a lot more than 2. I wonder how many you ended up with.
Jennifer, by the way, you were also called rich. You're a rich white person. Congratulations.
I am?
Because the production value is so high.
I'm a rich white person?
Yes.
Yeah. You should tell that to my parents or my children or the people that pay my bills or the 3 jobs I work or whatever. But good on you, pal, for thinking I'm rich. Voting tech company Smartmatic, which was only used in Los Angeles County in the 2020 election using a custom solution built for the city, has sued Fox News, Rudy Giuliani, and Sidney Powell for $2.7 billion over the disinformation campaign. Despite continued claims that Smartmatic voting machines flipped votes for Trump to Biden and were manipulated by foreign sources, the machines were only used in the very blue county of Los Angeles, also a city, which makes the accusation preposterous out of the gate. The lawsuit also named Lou Dobbs, Maria Bartiromo, and Janine Pirro of intentionally lying about Smartmatic in an effort to mislead the public into the false belief that the 2020 presidential election was stolen from former President Donald Trump. It was not stolen. He just lost.
And continuing on that story, Lou Dobbs, the top-rated host on Fox Business, which isn't on the subject of only 7 people watching on YouTube. Thank you for setting that up for us. I love that. We not saying a whole lot, was fired abruptly on Friday. Dobbs will continue to draw his salary while being taken off the air, and at 75 years old is not expected to land at another network. Interestingly, Bartimolo and Pirro still have jobs, but there are 2 key differences. Bartimolo and Pirro appear on Fox News, not Fox Business. And as it was reported, Dobbs was advertiser poison, and his show was a net revenue loser for the network. I guess money really does talk over at Fox News.
That's a big shocker. Also in Bizarro Land, Network One America Network, or OAN, which was tricked in the latest Borat movie to allow Borat's fictional daughter to attend a press briefing at the White House, is running a Mike Lindell funded documentary on election fraud all weekend long. There's one caveat to this. OAN is running a 90-second disclaimer before the, quote, mockumentary, stating they have no skin in the game and that it is not supported by the network, which of course begs the question, why air it in the first place?
Because it's one of those things, not it, but we aired it. So we get to keep the big lie going. Goebbels is smiling in hell at all of this.
Oh,
totally.
Yeah.
I've had no idea of this thing called social media, but I like it very much.
Yes.
Video has emerged from January 6th of Roger Stone, just hours before the insurrection started, flanked by members of the Oath Keepers outside a Washington, D.C. hotel. Stone is deeply involved with the Proud Boys. He's a former Trump ally and a supporter of the big lie, as we just talked about. Stone vehemently denies any involvement in the insurrection and says he never left the hotel room on January 6th, other than for his photo op for the Oath Keeper bodyguards. Members of the Oath Keepers are known to act essentially as his private security firm. And Roger Stone's name kind of comes up in the Venn diagram or it's getting close to looking like the Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia diagram of everything that's connected.
Big shocker there too, right?
Yes.
So, BuzzFeed News reported that the Trump Organization tried to negotiate a 40% stake in Parler over the summer in exchange for exclusively posting on the now defunct platform. The talks stalled over the summer, but emerged again in November after it became clear Trump had no legal path to gain re-election. Former Trump campaign manager Brad Parscale raised the idea to Trump of taking an ownership stake in Parler during a meeting last year at the White House. The deal reportedly fell apart after the January 6th insurrection and Parler was shut down by Apple, Google, AWS, and basically every other vendor that supported the alternate social media platform.
This is scripted, but it's this was not on purpose in the way this all connected in. This is another one where this is right out of the Nazi playbook from the 1920s. It is right out of it. Because one of the things after the failure of the beer hall putsch, and Hitler was like, okay, I can't take over the country through violence, so I'm going to have to take it over by winning hearts and minds and propaganda. They actually went out and started buying newspapers up so that Goebbels could go and spread the big lie, the big lie, the big lie. And if you do, you don't have to be a history major for this. You don't even have to be a World War II buff for this. You could just do an hour of freaking reading, and I don't mean on Google, like a book.
Yes.
Or watch a good documentary. There's actually a couple of really good documentaries on this that have come out in the last couple of years. And when you look at that playbook, the big lie, it is being played out in this country right now. We are in this bizarro, we really are at 1923 or 1924 right now.
Yeah, so I'm just going to say as a historian, since the inception of the nation, the media has been used as a tool to push out propaganda. It happened during the revolution in order to get people to come to the side of the colonies. And so they basically ran all of this stuff about how the British would allow for pan-Indian and pan-slave alliances. You saw it in the 1800 election when they basically said, hey, Thomas Jefferson is dead and Madison is a hermaphrodite. So this has been consistently used throughout history because it's effective.
Yep, exactly.
All
Sidney
right.
Powell has maintained a lower profile up until this week, and she seems to be furiously trying to maintain her ability to practice law. Her legal team made a filing on Friday in her battle against Michigan, arguing that she and her team should not face sanctions for their unfounded allegations because, among other reasons, they can prove that the unfounded allegations are provable. This is despite the fact that every one of her cases were thrown out, and she has yet to provide one shred of proof, and we are still waiting. Let's face it, y'all are still waiting for the Kraken. Where's the Kraken? The only Kraken is the Kraken in her assin.
Oh, God.
Okay, this is the point. Mods and admins, we're going to give it 1 minute, and then I say you can close out the poll after we do the first arrest, and then you can go and let us know what the winning story is in the comments. I'll try to see it go by, and we'll let it know sometime in the arrests. And Jennifer, I think you get the first arrest.
Oh, yay. We had talked about Texas florist Jenny Chud. Sorry, Jenny Cud.
Chud. It's a cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller.
Who was arrested and facing a laundry list of charges for her involvement in National Insurrection Day. Ms. Cud went before a judge asking permission to leave the country to go on a prepaid Mexico pro-business retreat with her employees. Cud isn't allowed into Washington, D.C. due to her actions and can't leave the state of Texas. The Trump-appointed judge, Trevor McFadden, a member of the Federalist Society, God help me, who is overseeing her case, he gave her permission to go on a heinous display of white privilege. Excuse me while I choke down the vomit that's coming up into the back of my mouth.
It's so friggin' gross. Mexico, you can keep her.
Please.
We want to trade her for 10 hardworking individuals who would like some good opportunity in this country, and you can keep her. And she could have her florist business there.
Yeah.
Please. All right, mods, admins, you can go ahead and let us know what's the winning story. We had reported on the arrest of Troy Faulkner from Ohio previously, But more information is coming out since his arrest. Turns out that Faulkner not only bragged about his exploits on social, said that Antifa and BLM had nothing to do with the insurrection because they didn't, but he called them pussy asses. But he wore his friggin' work jacket with company name and logo emblazoned across the back during the insurrection. This is how you know Antifa wasn't behind it, because even the dumbest protester among insurrectionary anarchists isn't this feckin' stupid.
Oh, damn, Troy. Damn. Okay. Ethan Norton, a.k.a. Rufio Panman of Washington State and Proud Boy, who was filmed getting pepper sprayed in the face at Back the Blue Spog rally, was arrested for his involvement in the January 6, 2021 insurrection. Norton led the Proud Boys to the Capitol in what appears to be a planned assault and led a group that moved on the pedestrian barricades that were barely defended by the Capitol officers. In the video captured of that incident, one female officer appears to be badly injured by the group. Nate Gowdy, local photographer, talked to Malcontent News about his conversation with Norton on January 6th in our interview with us, and I believe
normally the Proud Boys wear they have their trademark black polos with white trim. There is not one of those to be seen on January 6th. And the Proud Boys had telegraphed their intentions ahead of time, saying they had planned to be incognito, even wearing black and trying to mimic the black look of Black Bloc. I can see why they maybe did that, because they didn't want to be labeled as Proud Boys, perhaps, with what they were intending to do. But they did have shirts that said Enrique Tarrio did nothing wrong. At one point I asked the leader, which was Rufio, I'm sure you've encountered him here in Seattle. I think he's one of the local Proud Boys from Vancouver, Washington, or wherever he's from. He was leading them in Enrique's absence, and I asked him, is there a quote? I took your photo. Is there something you want to say, for words to put with the photo, pair with the photo? And he said all he wanted to say was back the yellow.
Gross. In another stunning display of white privilege, QAnon shaman Jacob Chansley is being moved to a different jail so that he can be fed a diet of organic food. Chansley held a 9-day hunger strike and has lost 20 pounds. Dude's committed, but before the court gave in to his whim, Judge Joyce Lambert, who made the decision, is a Reagan appointee who has been on the bench since 1987. It is worth noting that Lambert's landmark cases have all leaned towards liberal causes. Most notably, he ordered the 6,000-page CIA torture report that Dianne Feinstein ordered created not to be destroyed. He also sided with indigenous peoples over the Department of the Interior for mismanaging a trust intended for multiple nations' financial benefit, particularly the Lakota, Dakota, Nakota, Ogallala, Rosebud, Cheyenne, aka Sioux Nations. In 2005, in a court ruling, he called the Department of Interior racist, and in a legal ruling, the Department of Interior successfully petitioned to have him removed off of that same case in 2006. He's a complicated dude.
Okay, so here's my... Excuse me, I'm going to say the F word. Here's my fucking thing with this. So this asshole is a domestic terrorist. So why isn't he be given the same treatment that those at Guantanamo Bay were given and force-fed when he decided he did not want to eat? Right. Why is he allowed to exercise this fucking privilege? And then he goes on, it gets worse, because he goes on to talk about how organic food is part of his spirituality and shamanic lifestyle. He's not a shaman. He's culturally appropriating. He's a goddamn white dude in a headdress in some paint.
And by all reports, the court wants to do a mental competency hearing him and all, because by all reports, he is batshit crazy.
Ugh. Okay. Sorry, I won't swear again.
Okay. I got to hit the F-bomb buttons. I live for that right now. So, all right, you get the next one.
I live back. Okay. Gabriel Agustin Garcia was arrested weeks ago, but the information was just released. Garcia is connected with the Proud Boys and is charged with 3 counts of disorderly conduct. Garcia has already been released and is on home detention.
I wonder if Brandy Cruz is going to be doing a divide rant about how all of these people are out and not being held in jail like she does about protesters in Seattle.
Yeah, right.
God, Brandy.
Cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers.
Jeffrey Grace of Washington State was arrested at his home and charged with one criminal count for his insurrection participation. An informant tipped off the FBI. Grace claims he went with his son on January 6th. Jennifer, you're going to love this. On a sightseeing tour of the city. He got separated and found himself following a crowd into the rotunda at the Capitol. He then said he tried to pick up some items that had been knocked over and then decided to leave. Grace was pictured as the man behind the other man who is walking off with Nancy Pelosi's podium. Talk about being at the wrong place at the wrong time for your Capitol tour. I wonder if Lauren Boebert was actually showing him around at the time.
Oh, Lauren. You know how I just love her. Love her. All right. Zachary Jordan Alam, who was the man who smashed the door that Ashli Babbitt jumped through, was arrested after a family member tipped off the FBI. Alam hails from Pennsylvania and was seen in multiple videos wearing a fur hat over what appears to be a red mega baseball cap that pokes out and a Proud Boys style t-shirt. Alam was filmed screaming, quote, "Fuck the blue."
This is written.
Before reaching the door to the speaker's lobby, the final point before the House chamber itself.
We've actually had multiple people message. I've had multiple people message me asking like if this dude had been arrested and how come he hadn't been arrested, because he played such a pivotal role in that 60 to 90 seconds that led up to Ashli Babbitt's death, which at the end of the day is a death of her own making. Oh, I was hoping you would get this. I'm going to give this one to you.
Okay. Oh,
God. This is one of your favorite people.
Jenna, are we really? I think we should interview her. Jenna Ryan of Texas, my favorite Tinder girl. The real estate agent who documented her private jet insurrection flight is the gift that keeps on giving. If you forgot about Ryan, she posted the before, during, and after. Would talk to anyone who asked and said she deserved a pardon from then President Trump, which she never got. I'm so excited about this, I can't even talk. Well, it turns out that Jason Lee Hyland and Catherine Schwab, who were on the plane with Ryan, are now both arrested. Ryan stated that she went on a private plane trip in hopes of hooking up with a cute guy, but that he picked someone else. Womp womp. Well, I don't think it's a big game of connect the dots to figure out the cute guy was Hyland and the other woman was Schwab. Hyland claims he didn't want to go into the Capitol, but was funneled in. It's funny how you just all are there and accidentally get in the Capitol taking shit. And when he asked a police officer if it was okay, he was told to go in. Schwab is claiming that she was pushed into the Capitol by the crowd and never intended to enter. All I know is the company that they rented the private jet from should probably inspect it with a Woods lamp. Gross.
May the Schwartz be with you. See, I had to give you that one because then I could do the Jewish joke.
Okay.
Peter Schwartz, may the Schwartz be with you, of Pennsylvania, was arrested for bear macing police officers during the insurrection. The FBI got a tip. It's amazing how this is working. Who was then identified by an Owensboro, Pennsylvania police officer, because it turns out that Schwartz, may the Schwartz be with you, is really well known by the police department, as he is a halfway house resident in Owensboro on 2 years of parole. Not only is he now facing 4 charges, including 3 felonies, he has 3 outstanding criminal cases in Pennsylvania, including a threat to kill a woman in 2019. I have a feeling that Mr. Schwartz isn't going to be seeing too much of the light of day for a long time.
No. These names. William Mary Jr. of Missouri was arrested after he outed himself on social media. Pictures appeared of the maskless Mary. Sounds like a really bad, superhero. Anti-superhero. Maskless Mary holding part of the Speaker Pelosi's nameplate while in the Capitol. Several people reported him to the FBI because, of course, Mary, through his lawyer, said he hopes, quote, one day being able to get past this.
It's like that editorial cartoon with Guy Fawkes that we had put up on the site earlier this week, right? Well, you didn't actually blow up the parliament, so we're going to let it go this time.
Yeah.
Also arrested out of Missouri, Paul Westover was charged with 4 counts for his role in the insurrection, including a felony account of impeding law enforcement officers. Part of the conditions of his release includes a fate that people in his shoes hate. Jennifer, he has to turn in all of his guns.
Womp, womp, womp. Whew. Yeah.
Ladies, he may be single.
Hot. Don't tell me things like that, David. Is he going to take me to his liberal, what was it, his liberal freedom palace?
You're going to have to go back and watch what... I want to take him to my liberal freedom palace.
Especially now that it's a gun-free zone. Hot.
We need more men! Keep pushing! Keep pushing!
I'm trying to stay composed here, okay? Rachel Powell of Pennsylvania was arrested, and her arrest has likely closed the chapter on questions of Colorado Representative Lauren Boebert's mother. Powell, who was more than a passing resemblance to Boebert's mother, was caught on video using a bullhorn giving tactical information to insurrectionists on January 6th. Through a broken window. Powell is a single mother of 8 and faces multiple felony counts. In videos recorded at the Capitol, she's seen carrying and using a makeshift battering ram to break windows and telling other domestic terrorists to break another window. She has admitted to her role at the Capitol, but says she was not working with any group. This is completely ironic because single mothers with children are not people that Republicans give a flying fuck about.
Oh, thank you so much, because and I'm glad actually you read that, because honestly, I think if it came to me, I was going to say, Jennifer, you got to read this one because it could get misconstrued if I read it. And I do want to say, we are not calling out single parents. I was actually a single parent once upon a time. So we are in no way calling out single parents. We are in no way calling out people that have 8 kids. But as Jennifer pointed out, we will call out the hypocrisy of the Republican Party and so-called family values and their view on people like single mothers, and who would be raising questions as such was, well, who exactly was watching your 8 kids while you were trying to overthrow the government?
Yep, exactly.
Friggin' chuds.
Cannibalistic, humanoid, underground dwellers.
We saw your votes, and we saw it go by, mods and admins. So the story that they picked is talking about the shooting down in Vancouver. And we will unpack that a little bit more. But with that, we got one more arrest, Jennifer. Say hello to arrest number 181. I think we've reported all 181. Mm-hmm. Dennis Sidorsky of Virginia was accused of 4 criminal counts in his involvement in the insurrection. Sidorsky is probably best known of a picture taken of him taking a selfie of himself, because of course, in the Capitol wearing a sweatshirt with no mask on, by the way, with the words, American supremacist.
Yeah. Wow.
American. One thing that's jumped out at me is, because we've been doing these arrests, we've been reading off all of, the states and all, and it's logical, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Virginia, West Virginia, right? Because that's you get in your car and drive. But you don't hear a lot like Nebraska, South Dakota, right? Or, even Idaho. There was like the 1 or 2 in Idaho right out of the gate. It's interesting to me, because you think of these as these deeply red states.
Yes.
And yet it doesn't seem like there was a whole lot of participation from those states.
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking up an update on our shooting and my phone was going off. Yeah, I don't know. These people are getting, no.
See, he's not totally deaf. Yoda is 17, y'all, so it's actually really impressive he could hear the squeaky pig.
Yes, it is.
What's that?
Yes, it is.
So just a reminder, that was our insurrection update, and Monday will probably be our last insurrection update, because we'll be moving to the impeachment trial, and then the story We'll see what the fallout is. But Monday will probably be our last, and we'll continue to do arrests because we love the arrests. We love them.
Mm-hmm.